Welcome everyone. Today I can discuss with one of the important aspects of artificial intelligence and the ethics. Ethics of artificial intelligence is very important uh, because it's very powerful. Even in the healthcare industry, construction industry, education industries, everywhere artificial intelligence gonna implemented. Over socializations, newspaper, cinema, radio, TV, games, social networks enforce group things and lack of time for private deep thinking, breeding isolations between drive views and thus leading to unrest, violence, misunderstanding. These are the tough questions beyond technology, but involve technology. Just let your humanity remain awake while you work on an AI project, even one person may do. Stay involved. Do not brush these issues aside. Will evolve over time. So, what we need for AI related things for ethics, privacy, loss of individual uniqueness, possible fatal error, even database error was seriously enough, destroying human creativity. Security, fatal hacking, cyber warfare, smart bombs, killer robots, soldier co-op drones. Replace of humanity. Utility functions may not be necessary at proper level. World, nationals, regional, social group. Accountability is different. Autopiloted car is accident. Smart medicine fallings. Collaborate damage by robo soldiers. Racism discrimination by smart load decider. Understand human intelligence via simulations with AI. And at a very broad level, how much do we want to know about us? Any limit, remember behavioral psychology and Skinner training paradigm or a superior race of eugenics. Our knowledge is always an increasing but finite approximations of infinite truth. Be careful in what we do with this knowledge. Engineer always says this design the car in such a way that when its battery is not trustworthy, we can replace with a different battery type. Right of artificial intelligence. Our value system is to protect human survival, human civilizations, national interest, individual human, animal, environment on Earth. What does a smart agent, hardware or software falls in the hierarchy? We feel for any complex systems, carpets, robots. Can I insult Siri? There is a feedback loop. I am affected negatively even if Siri is not. Value embedded in AI. Our value system is to protect human survival, human civilization, national interest, individual human, animal, environment on Earth. Asimov, three rules for robots. Protect human, obey human unless it violates rules 1 and 3. Robot built by a robust must embedded all three rules. Value evolve in a society often is opposite directions. Even within the same culture, even in your hearts, value may be conflicting. All jurors, AI judges, AI attorney, AI politicians, AI financiers. Facebook will censor false news as they should, but can they control it when they will need to build their customer will get adapted to? Singularity and superintelligence. Sorry, I do not subscribe to this. Intelligence is not ID. But problem with AI, even domain if develop AI are real. Human intelligence is not just a brain. It is a good approximate starting point of science, but there is a far more. These are the tough questions beyond technology but involve technology. Just let you humanity remain awake while you work on a AI project, even one person may do. Stay involved. Do not brush this issue aside. Will evolve over time. Autocar car laws. So these are the many interesting aspects of artificial intelligence. Now I want to discuss with our students. Uh, Angela, Madam Angela, what do you know about artificial intelligence? How does it work in Africa or in, I want to say, the place in your workplace? How does it work in different part of the industrialization? I think Angela. Mr. Alex, we are discussing about artificial intelligence. Can you share your views about artificial intelligence?
Thank you, Mr. President. My network is a bit hazy today. Um, all I know about artificial intelligence um, is a way of using devices or technology to um, uh, the various uh, um, day-to-day things that we do as a human, and we find that we have things like robots that have been introduced, specifically perhaps in the West. I haven't seen this in Africa so much, and they tend to do what humans can be able to do while instructed with the minimal kind of uh, approach. So we have had sometimes conflict in relation to artificial intelligence, in that there is unemployment as a result of perhaps when the robots take over, and machines. Machines, they are quite effective and they can do as instructed. Um, I am thinking of apart from the robots, there could be even tech things like even computers. That's how broad I want to look at that subject. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Angela, you want to share your views about artificial intelligence? Can you unmute?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me? Thank you, Mr. President. Artificial intelligence is a good thing in our century, but in as much as it's a good thing, it also has its own share of disadvantages. In Africa, specifically, we are trying to be at par with our other Western countries, because we are seeing a lot of things being used even in our healthcare setups. We are using a lot of artificial intelligence through the use of gadgets, which in a way help, for example, in helping to shorten the length of stay of patients in the hospitals, or making more faster diagnoses, such that the patients are able to be treated quite fast, rather as opposed to the older ways of or the older ways of doing things. But then this also has its own share of problems, because as a continent, Africa, we've been lagging behind, and we have been trying to come up through the SDG development, sustainable development programs, to try to bring equality in the world at the same level, but we are still not there, and COVID has impacted quite negatively and taken us much back, even as a continent. Having said that, still we can really say that with the current situation, the artificial intelligence helped quite a lot, especially even during COVID era, that a lot of schools still managed to conduct their lessons through uh, technology, and things didn't really get stagnant at a certain point, and also a lot of like agricultural practices and other sectors of say transport and education have been really boosted with this artificial intelligence. Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Angela, I cannot hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Yes, I can.
No. Can you speak, please?
Um, I was of the opinion that artificial intelligence has greatly impacted positively in our continent, and it has really helped, especially through the COVID pandemic. It has helped us really maneuver a lot of things in terms of having been able to conduct educational classes even through artificial intelligence. And classes did not really stop in most of the part of Africa because of the way the artificial intelligence was put into use. Secondly, in our hospital setups, we have had also a big share of improvement in terms of helping in diagnosing our patients and moving the healthcare system to another level through artificial intelligence, because we find a number of things which are being done in a new modern way through artificial intelligence devices rather than the older way. And this has impacted positively, having to help reduce the patient's stay in the hospital and helping to get to faster diagnoses and helping our patients to recover fast and go back home. So that is what I would say for now, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Madam Devotee, you want to add any point? Ramla, Uriwangi? Uriwangi, can you listen to me? Devotee? Okay, okay. Madam Angela and Alex, do you finish your homework? I give you a homework that develop an article.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely, Mr. President. On my part, I did some work on it, and yeah, I think I will be able to share something if you allow me to.
Mhm. Okay, okay.
Should I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President. Now, the topic in discussion was about the impact of COVID-19.
Mhm.
I think that was the topic at hand. And specifically, you narrowed it to our African situation. And what I came up with is that in Africa, we had our first case of COVID-19 in around February. And this was in Egypt. That was the first confirmed case. And later on, within the same month, in sub-Saharan Africa, we did have in Nigeria another similar case. So that was only in Feb 2022. And I came to realize that it is way a little bit early to know the full impact of the COVID-19 in Africa as we speak. However, there are causes, but also reasons for hope. And while the virus is present in all African countries, it has been, that is reported. You find that fewer, some countries did not report or give a clear indication of how much the real cases were. And this was because they were incapacitated, and not all African countries can be compared in equal measure, because each of the African countries have their own strengths, so to speak. However, we do have our own African solutions, which we had basically learned from previous epidemics, let me say like Ebola, where Africa had known ways of dealing with such conditions. And Centers of Disease Control is also boosting the regional capabilities of most African countries. So, in brief, what I came to come across was that while we have immediate health impact, which is still evolving, indirect consequences beyond health can already be seen in terms of food insecurity. We do have lack of medical supplies in hospitals. We have a loss of income and livelihood. We have perhaps difficulty applying sanitary or physical distancing measures. And then we have a looming debt crisis in Africa, directly related to the pandemic, as well as political and security risks. We have situations whereby in the education sector, for example, schools were closed for quite a prolonged period of time. And this came with its own challenges, whereby the cases of teenage pregnancies were reported quite high, and where many populations had done away with the previous old African traditional methods of their way of life. Let's say in FGM, for example, some people tended to go back to those because they had really nothing much to do in terms of when the governments across several parts of Africa introduced strict measures that came to keep people in lockdown. And this one also created tensions. You could see that there were tensions between the population and the law enforcers, because as the pandemic got worse, the governments were keen to make sure that various laid down measures that had been laid down are fully implemented. So all in all, these were part of the indirect causes that this COVID-19 situation brought about in Africa. There could be others, but I would go in details on each and how it affected if I still have some more time. For example, in health, I spoke about the inadequate supplies, inadequate testing capacities, participation in vaccine and research treatment, it got most African countries not well prepared. And then maybe in future, what African countries need to do, particularly in health, is to expand the deployment of community health workers, which can promote effective and better ways of dealing with such a pandemic. And also boosting of medical personnel in terms of expertise by tapping, for example, in diaspora and our friends from the West, so that we can have an avenue of sharing knowledge. On the socio-economic, African countries can partner and also can mobilize across the board. And we still have issues to do with the debt, whereby we all know that most of the African countries are heavily indebted. And with the COVID-19, this situation was not made any easier. So we need to have what we call the increased resources from multilateral lending agencies, for example, the International Monetary Fund, special drawing rights, so that they can further help ease the situation that is here in Africa. And they, under the socio-economic as well, they can also address the economic and the global fallout of the crisis, to include direct support to keep the households, small-scale businesses afloat that became insolvent when this situation came through. And then emergency budgeting is also a good area to look at when you are looking at the socio-economic. In food security, many Africans are at a risk of becoming food insecure. Even pre-COVID, that was the situation. But Africa needs to prioritize agriculture, and they declare it as a critical sector that should not be interrupted by COVID-19. And strengthening of social protection systems and safeguard access to food and nutrition for most of the vulnerable groups, especially children and pregnant mothers, and the feeding is another good area that Africa needs to be keen on. On peace and security, we have conflicts that have been erupting in Africa. Recently, we had a case in West Africa where one of the governments, I think it's either Cameroon or something, but one of the government was overthrown. So we are looking at a situation whereby silencing of the guns could be an option, and implementing the Secretary General and AU Commission Chairman appeal for ceasefire, so that we can sustain the peace. And peace is critical for various operations. And also just to improve in terms of the response to the pandemic, should such a situation come up in future, Africa should be a little bit more prepared to deal with it. I think with that, I would say that's what I was able to summarize through. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, everyone. So, Madam Angela, tomorrow I'm going to discuss about your write-up, okay? And even if possible, if you write a topic on artificial intelligence impacting African economy, okay, we will discuss together. This is the way of brainstorming. This is the way of communication skills. This is the way of create good team bonding. So hopefully it will help us a lot. Okay. Thank you, Madam Angela, Alex, and Madam Ramla. Thank you for joining today's session. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye.